Does MTG.
Hey guys, welcome back to Josh Does MTG. You know, the best Magic the Gathering channel on YouTube. Well, may not be the best to you, but it's the best to me. Alright, there are a lot of mechanics out there on Magic the Gathering that people don't know that are sitting on cards. So I'm here to explain a couple of them. I don't know them all. I will learn them eventually as my brain grows. But if you find some that aren't on here, just comment, send me a message, whatever you want to do. Alright, first we have banding. Any creatures with banding and up to one without can attack in a band. Bands are blocked as a group. If any creatures with banding you control are blocking or being blocked by a creature, you divide that creature's combat, not its controller, among any of the creatures that's being blocked by or is blocking. It's an old mechanic, but it's pretty neat. Alright, we have Bolster. Choose a creature with the least toughness among creatures you control and put a 1/1 counter on it. This has Bolster 2, so it would be a 2/2 counter. Alright, we have Bushido. When this creature is blocked or becomes... When it blocks or becomes blocked, it gets a 1/1 to end of turn. It's because it's only got Bushido 1. If it had Bushido 2, it'd be a 2/2 to end of turn. We have Buyback, which is pretty great. You play the spell for its normal cost. As you can see, it's this 3 mana. This is capsized, and once you pay that 3 mana and it resolves, you can pay the buyback cost here, which is another 3, and then return it to your hand. That way, you can play it more than once. Alright, we have Changeling. This card is very great because it says this card is every creature type at all times. There are cards out there that say vampire creatures, all vampire creatures get this, all birds get that. Since the Changeling is every creature type at all times, those cards on the field would give him the pluses. Unfortunately, it would also get the negatives. All creatures get negative, negative. That would count towards Changeling as well. A Changeling deck would be great. But look at these googly eyes on this card. I found this on the internet, and I had to put the Changeling with the googly eyes on there. It's pretty cool looking. Alright, we have Cumulative Upkeep. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an age counter as permanent, then sacrifice unless you pay its upkeep cost for an age counter on it. Now, that's just for this card. Cumulative Upkeep is you played the card. Now, when it's your turn again, if you don't play the upkeep cost, which is tapping the mana, you will lose that card. Which, to me, I wouldn't use Cumulative Upkeep, but some cards are pretty great with it. Alright, Cycling. Discard this card to draw a card. Now, there's several types of cycling. The original cycling that just says cycling, you have this. Discard this card, draw a card. Now you discard it into your graveyard, pull a card from your library, and there you go. But as you see, it costs mana. There are land cycling cards that have forest cycling, mountain cycling, plain cycling, swamp cycling, island cycling. That's just for literally putting the card into your graveyard, then you search your library for that land and put it into your hand. Some cards have cycling abilities, like say when you cycle this card, this happens. So not only would you get to draw a card, you also get to do an additional effect when you cycle the card. So those are pretty neat. I love cycling personally. I built a cycling deck, and cycling is one of my favorite things to do. Alright, we have one of the most common, Death Touch. Everybody should know that, but I'll go ahead and explain it. Any amount of damage this creature deals to a creature is enough to destroy it. Let's say you have a 10,000, 10,000, and you block that 10,000, 10,000 with your 1/1 Death Touch. You're still going to kill that 10,000, 10,000. It's pretty neat. We have Defender. This creature cannot attack. Defenders basically just come out to defend, so that's why they're called defenders. Alright, if you have a 0/5 creature that does not say defender, and then you give it power, then it can attack. But as long as it says defender, it cannot attack. Alright, Delve. Each card you exile from your graveyard while casting the spell pays for 1. So let's say you don't want to pay the 7 it costs to bring this card out. You would just exile 6 cards from your graveyard and pay only 1 mana to bring this out. So it's a 5/5 for 1, which is pretty great. Alright, Double Strike. This creature deals both first strike and regular combat damage. So it attacks twice, essentially. Alright, enchant creature, you attach it to a creature, it's now enchanted. Enchantments give, for example, like this one gives the creature a +2/+0 and has flying. That's pretty simple. Equipped, it's equipment you can attach to a creature. You bring it out on the field. You pay the cost to bring the card out. This one doesn't have it at the top because this is a flipped version. Like all these cards are just examples. You pay the mana cost to bring it out on the field. It sits on the field. Then you pay an additional cost to equip it to a creature. When your creature dies, that equipment stays on the field. That equipment will always stay on the field unless someone destroys it. It's pretty neat. Exalted. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, that creature gets 1/1 until end of turn. So it has to attack alone in order to get the 1/1. Not really my thing. Alright, Fear. Alright, Fear is a creature with fear can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and by creatures that are black. Pretty self-explanatory. We have First Strike. This creature deals combat damage before creatures without First Strike. So this 2/1 attacks and your opponent blocks with the 2/1. Your creature is going to kill that other creature because it attacks first. So that is resolved before they can attack you and do damage. Alright, we have Flanking. Whenever a creature without flanking blocks this creature, the blocking creature gets -1/-1 to end of turn. That's a pretty neat old mechanic. Alright, we have Flash. You may play this spell at any time you can play an instant. So any card that has Flash, you can play it at any time. It's pretty cool. We have Flying. Everybody knows Flying. They can only be blocked by another creature with Flying or Reach. Haste. This creature is not affected by Summoning Sickness, so it comes out immediately and is able to attack or do the abilities that's on the card. It's pretty neat. We have Hexproof. This creature cannot be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control, but any spells or abilities you have can attach to this card. Just your opponents can't. Alright, we have Indestructible. Destroy effects and lethal damage do not destroy. Alright, so that doesn't mean when a creature with Indestructible comes out that you just need to run and hide or give up or shuffle your cards back in your library and run. This creature here is a 3/3 Indestructible, so what you would do is you would give it a -3, and then that creature would go into the graveyard because you're technically not destroying it. You can force them to sacrifice an Indestructible creature. You can also exile the Indestructible creature because once it's out of the game, it's out of the game. Now that you know about Indestructible, you don't have to cry about it when someone pulls out an Indestructible creature. There are ways around it. Intimidate. Now, remember I told you about Fear. Intimidate replaced Fear because Fear was only on black. It says, a creature with Intimidate can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and by creatures that share a color with it. See the similarities here? Fear was replaced by Intimidate. That way they can put it on other cards and allow it to work with any color. Alright. Now we have LAN Wok. LAN Wok, you won't actually see LAN Wok on a card. You'll see things like, for example, this card here. It says Island Wok. What that means is, if your opponent owns on the field an island, they cannot block your creature that has Island Wok. Same thing with Plains Walk, same thing with Swamp Walk, Mountain Walk, and Forest Walk. Now the reason why this is great because there are cards out there that you can make your opponent change their land in addition to what it is and turn it into an island, plain, swamp, mountain, or forest. So if this has Island Walk, the other card would allow you to change their land or add to it, make it an island, and they can't block you. It's pretty neat. Lifelink. Damage dealt by this creature also causes you to gain that much life. So if this creature is a 3/4, it did 3 damage to another creature, you would gain 3 life. If you're in a pinch, Lifelink. It's always great. Outlast. Outlast, you pay mana cost, tap it, and you put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Only as a sorcery. So which means you can only do it on your turn. Phasing. This creature phases in and out before you untap each of your untap steps. While it's phased out, it's treated as though it doesn't exist. So, if you have an enchantment or an equipment attached to the phasing creature, when it phases out, those things stay, but you act like it's not there. But once it phases back in, it can use that enchantment, it can use that equipment on it. It doesn't go away. But when it's phased out, it can't attack or block. It's the negative side. Alright, here we have protection. Whatever the card states it has protection from cannot affect it. Now, this is Progenitus. This is a son of a bitch. Costs a lot of mana to come out. 2 plains, 2 islands, 2 swamps, 2 mountains, and 2 forests. It's a 10/10. Has protection from everything. It can't be affected. When someone plays Progenitus, you might as well just scoop your cards, because there's nothing you can do to it unless you have enough creatures to make him block with Progenitus and just run through him with your other creatures. But usually I'm like, you played that card? I don't like it. But if I had it, I'd play it. Alright, we have Rampage. Whenever this creature becomes blocked, it gets 2/2 to end of turn for each creature blocking it beyond the first. So, this has Rampage 2, it would get a 2/2 when it becomes blocked. If it said Rampage 5, it would get 5/5. It's an old mechanic, but it's out there. We have Reach. This creature can block creatures with flying. Pretty self-explanatory. Pretty easy. I actually like this card. Look at this card. Other elf creatures you control get 1/1. And when it attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking elf you control. Whew. Oh man, that's crazy. I gotta build an elf deck. Alright, we have Regenerate. So, let's say this creature here, Hunted Troll, it died. For some reason, your opponent killed it, even though it's an 8/4. Let's see. You pay the mana cost. It comes back to it goes into the graveyard, comes back to the battlefield tapped. Cannot block or attack, but it came back. You regenerated. Kind of like bringing back a limb. Alright, Scavenge. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put a number of 1/1 counters equal to this card's power on target creature. Scavenge only has a sorcery. So this is a 5/5. You scavenge it. You put 5 tokens on target creature that you control. Very nice. Shadow. This creature can block or be blocked by only creatures with shadow. So if that creature does not have shadow, this card cannot block. But it cannot be blocked unless your opponent has shadow. Pretty neat. Old mechanic. I like it. We have Shroud. Remember I was telling you about Hexproof? Your opponents cannot affect, their spells abilities cannot affect your card with Hexproof, but you can. Shroud prevents any spells or abilities. So it's completely protected when it comes out. Trample. Any amount of damage not blocked will go directly to the opponent's life total. So you have an 8/8. They block you with a 7/7. That 1 damage that's still there is going to hit the life total directly. A lot of people have been killed by trample. They think they're protected with all their 1/1s, but no, we just trample right over them. Alright, we have Unearthed. Return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile at the beginning of the next end step, or if it would leave the battlefield, Unearthed only has a sorcery. So it's a quick smack in the face to your opponent. Now, necessarily, it doesn't have to leave the battlefield into your graveyard. You can discard it from your hand when you have too many cards in your hand, and then you can unearth it as a surprise to your opponent. Surprise! I discarded this and now it's back on the field, or now it is on the field, and I smack you for 3. How about that? Goodbye. Just a little quick smack in the face. Alright, we have Vigilance. Vigilance is my favorite. Creature does not have to tap to attack. There are cards out there that I like Royal Assassin, that says tap to destroy target tapped creature. Just says destroy a tapped creature. If your creature has Vigilance, it doesn't have to tap to attack. It just sits upright normal and says I'm attacking you. It's pretty neat. One of my favorite mechanics. Alright guys, that's all the mechanics I have on Magic the Gathering right now. I know I missed a few. Like I said, just go ahead and message me, comment, let me know which ones you found. I can make another video later. But thank you guys for watching. Hit the subscribe button, comment, like my videos, because I do like making these, and I hope people will watch them.